This episode of the Amp Hour is sponsored by Club Jameco, part of Jameco Electronics. Have you ever wanted to sell a kit you dreamed up? Do you have an idea for a new project you're working on, and you think others would like working on it as well? Club Jameco allows you to upload your kit ideas and start selling to your peers. You can earn up to 10% on every approved kit that you sell. Additionally, if you submit an approved product brief, you will get a coupon code for 10% off your next order at jameco.com. To learn more and to see the chosen kit of the week, go to clubjameco.com/theamphour. This is the Amp Hour podcast, recorded May 14th, 2013. Episode 145, Flaunting, Furbelow, Fanciness.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
Who is no longer shirtless.
No, I have a shirt. I have 4 shirts, actually. I have more shirts than anyone.
4? You bought 4?
Yeah, well, no, I have the early prints of the new colors that should be coming soon, so I bit the bullet and took one for the team, and I have all of the available shirts so far. But yeah.
And of course, folks, we're talking about the Amp Hour T-shirts.
Amp Hour T-shirt.
Which, if you haven't ordered one, you missed it.
Well, they missed the good pricing on it, basically. We'll have the Printfection store up soon.
Right.
Possibly this week, actually.
Where are you getting those samples from? Are you getting them from Teespring, or are you getting them from Printfection?
No, Printfection. Printfection is that'll be our, if people want to buy at any point, basically, it's like an on-demand service, so.
Yeah, but it costs more than the campaign.
Yeah,
thing.
Yep.
So
yeah,
what's the quality of the campaign, the Teespring shirt like?
Oh, Teespring's awesome.
Did it turn out good?
Actually, I got it right here. It looks kind of weird because of the different, like the kind of the worn effect, but
yes, because it's hand drawn kind of worn look, right, to the image. That's
right. But if you step back one step, it looks quite good, I think. So
right, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I haven't got mine yet. Being in the backwater here.
Right. Yeah, you probably get yours this coming week. So. Yeah, lots of fun, though. And people have been sending pictures on Twitter and elsewhere, and that's really great. I've been trying to retweet all of them, so thanks to everyone who posts pictures. It's not the main point, but it is, it's helpful for the show to, people showing their support. We really appreciate that, so that's really cool.
Absolutely.
And making people jealous, because the shirt does look pretty sweet, I think.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Haven't got mine yet. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, T-shirts are fun, and we'll do more in the future, so it's... Not the last one, but we'll give it a break for a little while. You've had your fun with T-shirts too, so.
I've had my T-shirts. Yeah, they're both finished. They're both complete runs, and so everyone will be getting those in the coming weeks, including me. I still don't have one myself.
Oh yeah.
Sob.
Yep. Well, and we can wear them. Well, at least in the States. Next weekend is Hamvention in Dayton, and then Maker Faire out in California. So hopefully,
right. So if you're wearing is there like a secret handshake to go along with the T-shirt? So if you see another person wearing the T-shirt, you do the secret Amp Hour handshake.
You look down at the ground and kind of mumble something. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Like a nod. You walk past and just, that nod you give someone who's
someone wearing the same T-shirt as you. That's the downside. Yeah. But
Can you get a photo? Can you get everyone to coordinate who's wearing an Amp Hour T-shirt at the one location at the Hamvention and get a group photo?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll try and do that. We're gonna have a meetup at the Hamvention, so definitely I'll get photos there.
Okay. Well, there you go. Turn up.
So if people are going to that, it's 6:30 on Saturday night at a place called City Pub, a little bit south of the city, but hopefully should be easy.
City Pub? Is it actually a pub?
It's like gastropub. It's like good food and stuff. So,
right.
And Kent Lundberg, Dr. Analog, will be there, or hopefully be there. I think, or maybe he won't be at the meetup, but he'll be at the convention. But then Greg Charvat will be there, and then I'm not sure if any other former guests will be there, but definitely lots of other listeners. So, if anyone else is listening and hasn't let me know yet, I'd love to know if you're going to be there. I'll be on Twitter, probably posting pictures and taking video.
Live updating. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And then turn up for the group photo.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool. I'm excited.
You're so excited you're going internally berserk. I can hear
internally berserk. Yep.
Yep.
I don't know. I see all this press for Maker Faire too. It seems like there's going to be a lot of good stuff in Maker Faire too. So.
And that's on the same time, isn't it? Same.
Yeah. Right.
That's on the same weekend.
Yep.
Right.
So gotta choose sometimes, but we'll see how...
fair is this?
This
Maker
is
Faire. Where's it at?
California, San Mateo.
So right. That's the big one, right? That's the biggest one. Right.
Yep. And yeah, people said that, Jeff said he'll be out. The Jeff Kaiser will be out there.
Yeah, he's got some new project he's showing off, another Geiger counter thing which pulsates, LEDs pulsate or something.
Yeah. Jerry said she's going to be there showing stuff off. So I think, a lot of people. A lot of past and future guests, hopefully. So good stuff. Very exciting time.
Once again, I won't be there.
No.
No. Sorry.
Throw your own Sydney party, man. You gotta.
Yeah.
You guys have Maker Fairs and stuff now, so that's good.
Well, yeah, there's been 2. One was in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And one was in, which I didn't go to, and one was in Adelaide, which I wasn't allowed to go to.
Wasn't allowed to go to? In the lockdown? Or?
Come on, dude, you're married.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you know what
she's let me go to Hamvention, so I don't know, man.
Right. How far is it to Hamvention? You just drive, right?
Yeah, it's only 3 hours. Yeah. Yep. And speaking of Hamvention, I was talking to Mr. Kaiser the other day, and he said he's gonna be on the show soon to set you straight on ham radio. Apparently, I'm not doing a good enough job on the benefits.
Right.
He said he's going to convince you to get your technician's license too.
No,
I was skeptical, but never know. You never know.
And then what am I going to do with it? I'm just going to end up like you, just a poser with a call sign.
Hey now! I have 2 radios
and a cheap Chinese handheld radio.
I have 2 cheap Chinese radios. I got a software-defined radio too. Did I tell you about that?
Even worse, isn't it?
No, it's cool. It's really cool. It's one of the this is a great one. I actually learned about this from Matt Richardson's video on software-defined radio. He talked about, he shows the, it's actually, I think this would have been the good thing to get first. Because you don't actually need a call sign either. Or you don't need a license to get one, actually.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, because you're just receiving.
Yeah, but you aren't transmitting. You're just receiving.
Right, but see, okay, so here's the thing, and this is an important thing, I think. So people that are out there who are interested in radio or anything else like that, I've taken signals courses, everything like that. I remember there's been like discrete points in my life where I've taken courses, but it just didn't click, like Fourier transforms. Mm-hmm. That took me like probably 2 months of actually doing the math before it actually clicked. That's how pathetic it was. I mean, like, it was that bad. And then it clicked, and it was like, oh, hell yeah. And then, like, I actually had, like, I had a co-op that used those a lot and everything. And, it was good after that. But I'm just saying, like, having that kind of context is really important. And that's why I really like this software-defined radio thing, because it is basically the perfect way to illustrate bandwidth. Like,
yep.
That like it's not a great radio. I mean, I know that it's very wideband. You can go from like, I think it's like 200 megahertz up to like 1.2 megahertz, 2 gigahertz or something. But it's cool. I mean, you can actually it's probably lower than that, because you can get broadcast stuff like broadcast FM, and you can see it. That's the best part. You actually can see. Like learning about like FM. Frequency modulated signals like on a radio, it's like really hard to conceptualize at first, but once you see it on this SDR screen with like a, what is it called, I forget what it is, C# script or something like that. Basically it actually takes the input data and then it visualizes it for you.
Right.
Those 2 things together, nothing. I just wish I would have had that about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Jesus.
When I was a boy.
Yeah, right. When I was a student. I just wish I would have had it. So that's why I like it. It's $20. I'll post a link to it.
Yeah, this is just one. If you don't know what he's talking about, just one of these $20 USB dongle.
They're meant for like digital
radios,
TV,
right?
For like watching.
Yeah, they're designed for
TV.
digital TV. Yeah,
right. And I don't know if I'm gonna ever use it for that, but. It's more important though is actually seeing, because it shows the spectrum over time too. That's another really great thing, like seeing those 2 things together. I just wish I would have had it before. So now I do.
Awesome.
It helped me verify that I wasn't going crazy. Like the spectrum's actually like really, really barren around here because I'm out in the boonies. I'm in the suburbs of Cleveland, and so there's like, my crappy Chinese radio, as you say it can only go so far, and so if there's no repeaters in the area and I can't pick up like long distance stuff, then I'm kind of SOL. I'm just kind of sitting here like I don't know. There's no way to troubleshoot at that point, right? Like there's no
and just talking into the ether.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, anybody?
Yeah,
anybody out there?
Yeah, and that's what it was like at first, and then I got this SDR thing, the software defined radio, and then I could actually see it, and then if I missed a transmission from someone, I could see that there was something there a minute ago. I could actually then wait for it to come back. So. It's
what
cool.
just popped in my head then? Sorry, totally non sequitur. What did I say?
Non sequitur?
Yes. That's what I meant to say, if that's not what I actually said.
No, you didn't say that at all. It's okay.
That reminds me of the NASA video of Commander Hatfield, is his name?
Yeah,
He's
Chris
up on
Hadfield.
the International Space. Yeah, you've seen it, right?
Yes.
I'm sure. Yes,
I watched it this morning.
He sings, David Bowie's The Space...
You mean David Jones?
Oddity. Yes, David Jones.
David Jones,
is his real name. Yeah.
Right.
David, which you didn't know until I told you.
No, I didn't. You're right.
Can't believe it. You big muso, you.
Yeah, well, not that big, apparently.
Well, you're supposed to. You had a band.
Yeah, I'm supposed to, right. Well,
you had T-shirts and everything.
I focus on the music. man.
Right. Anyway, it's awesome. You got to watch it.
Yeah, that was really well done.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's him.
Why someone hasn't
singing.
done that before? Well, you've got to actually sing. You've got to be able to actually hold a note, which he can, I think. It's quite good. It's very well produced, too.
It is.
Anyway,
right?
he's up in the International Space Station and he's singing David Bowie's Space Oddity. It's fantastic.
I didn't realize he was Canadian. I learned that today. I just, make horrible Yank assumptions, right? I'm just like, of course, he's an astronaut, right? If he's not a cosmonaut, he's an astronaut, and he's a U.S. guy, right? And it's like, no, that's not true. So
it's the ultimate insult, especially like tourists come here, and you hear them speak with a what sounds like a Yank accent, but then you go, oh, you're Canadian, aren't you? And they go, oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for not...
Finally someone got it.
For not thinking I was a bloody American.
Yeah, well.
Yep, they're so thankful. It's the ultimate insult.
Whatever. I'll take my lottery winnings and be elsewhere.
Boy. All right. But what else? Well, I cannot. Speaking of America, I cannot apparently do the Cleveland. At least we're not Detroit.
No, you
anymore.
can't. Well, some people say you can, but no.
Right.
I think Detroit has passed us in awesomeness, irrespective of the awesomeness.
It may have. Yes, it may have.
Recent events in Cleveland and some of the characters involved with that. But
right. Yeah. Well, what does Detroit have to offer? Chris, tell us about
10-foot tall RoboCop statue. How can you beat that?
Along with that police state mentality. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So it'll become a symbol of all the right winger, nutters, right?
No.
It'll be.
It is a symbol of a crappy '80s movie.
They'll be
held in Detroit.
They'll be shooting at it with their assault rifles from 1,000 meters away.
Shouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, it's very cool. It's like
it is cool.
How tall is it?
10 feet or what? 3.25 meters, whatever that would
Looks
be.
more than that. Oh, yeah, maybe the guy standing next to it's probably
next.
6.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah. Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because you like saying that so much, we wish we were Detroit. I don't know, the tech scene up there, too. I mean, like, I see a lot of stuff about, just Detroit tech coming back and stuff, too. Obviously, they've still got the auto industry. There's no denying that,
There's something left there anyway. I don't know.
No, I think significant is
number
still
plates?
there. No. They
Sorry,
manufacture...
I just insulted all Detroitians, didn't I? Detroitians? What the hell do they call themselves?
Detroiters.
Detroiters? All right.
Detroit residents. They call themselves Canadians.
Right.
Of course I'm from Canada.
What do Clevelandites call themselves? Do they call themselves Clevelandites? Clevelanders. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Clevelanders call ourselves Canadians.
Right.
Yeah, from Canada. Eh?
I don't know what we call ourselves in Sydney. I guess we call ourselves Sydney-siders.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Nothing else springs to mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. Sydney. At least we're not Melbourne. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is very cool. Yep.
Yeah.
12-foot high Robocop statue. I think it looks great. Like, it's just like all 3D printed or something, like a wax casting or something. They're going to make a bronze. It's just the casting that they're going to do the bronze thing. But when they bronze this, I don't know, how does the bronze casting work? Is this like the internal mold that's actually destroyed when you bronze cast it? I don't know, because it seems a shame. It's
well,
fantastic.
it depends what they made it. I don't know what they made it out of, but
well, there's here we go. Made from foam, wax, clay, and steel.
Oh,
there you go.
And yeah, they'll probably create a relief of that then, because some of the ones. So I know very little about molds as yet in my machining journey, but the one that's really easy is like if you do wax, then you basically encase that in sand, and then you pour liquid metal into that, and it just evacuates the wax basically. And that's
okay, got it.
Lost investment casting, I think it's called. So
right, yeah, right. But what happens to the wax? It doesn't just magically vaporize, does it?
No, it flows out basically. It gets displaced.
Oh, it flows out, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
It just comes out as a bubbly ooze at the top or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and there's some intense videos. Like people will do. There's a couple hackerspaces around that'll do. They'll actually smelt the aluminum, and then they'll actually they'll do like multiple setups at once, and then they'll pour them all, and it's very impressive to see. Yeah,
aluminium.
That's not smelting. Oh, gotcha.
Get it right. Aluminium.
Right, sorry. Right.
Bloody Yanks.
Yeah.
Rest of the world says aluminium.
Okay.
Aluminum.
Enjoy that. Unbelievable.
Next.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention one more thing in Detroit. I don't know if it's actually Detroit. It's definitely Michigan though. There's these great videos from the Geek Group. Oh, it's actually Grand Rapids, so that's not Detroit. Not even close. But it is Michigan, and the Geek Group. Have you ever seen these videos before?
No.
Yeah, I had found them from machining stuff. They're really well sponsored. They have great Tormach sponsored everything basically, but really really awesome videos for machining and even some electronic stuff, some Tesla coil stuff, and it looks like they're going like really pro. I mean, that's more geeky from
awesome.
the video side, but they make some really great videos, and I highly recommend their YouTube channel. So just another, they're kind of like a tech shop, but focused on making videos and educating and stuff. So really cool.
I'll have to subscribe.
Yeah, you will. Better.
Awesome.
Yeah. So speaking
we've got another retro video.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Retro video time, folks.
Did you watch this
video
one?
of the week? Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Board scope. What is it? It's a CADnetics from the 80s.
Yeah. Right. Well, so it's if people remember DASICs, so it was Daisy and CADnetics, they merged and they became DASICs. And I've had to deal with the
That's
aftermath.
Bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's
you're dealing with the aftermath of this?
I used to have to deal with the aftermath of it. It was like a former CAD system, and so
Legacy
basically
designs, huh?
Yeah, all we had was the Gerbers, and everything else was
right.
It's just like older CAD systems. You just don't have the files anymore, or they're only on tape. It's you just kind of. Well, seriously, I heard
I know.
Someone was telling me about cloud storage or I was reading an article or watching a video or something. They said almost all cloud storage eventually, if you don't access the data long enough, it'll end up on tape.
Yep, end up on tape. Didn't we mention?
Oh no, that was Alan. Of course, duh. That was who.
Yeah, duh. Of course,
last week.
it was.
Duh.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thought it was.
Yeah, I knew it sounded familiar, right? So much happens week to week these days, You have to.
Anyway, this is it goes for like 10 minutes.
It does.
This video, and I haven't watched it all, but yeah, it's 80s, folks. Say no more.
Yeah, found it through
VHS.
Former guest Steve Leibson. He knew the guy that was in this. Apparently, one of the actors, quote unquote. But yeah, it's intense. It's a 10-minute marketing video, so which means that there was no YouTube, so there's no distribution of this. So that means that they probably you had to write into them, and they sent you a tape, and then you sat down and watched it.
Yep.
It was not good though. This makes Dave's production quality look like like multi-million-dollar studios.
Right. They've put a lot of effort. Like they've hired a company. They've clearly hired a video production company to do the whole thing. It's not like an in. I don't think it's like an in-house thing.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it's a professional. And there's 80s haircuts in there, and
that's fun spotting.
Meeting room, boardroom action token. Yep. And then there's a token engineer. There's a token CAD engineer who's the only one with the collared shirt without a tie.
Yep.
It's like,
well, you don't want it to get caught in anything, but it's
no, exactly. Yeah, wouldn't want to get caught in the keyboard or something. Right?
That's the excuse, right? Oh, I don't have to wear a tie; it'll get caught in something.
It's hilarious.
I think the product was actually for the one they're talking about in there is actually this a simulation software for simulating board level traces, and then they're showing we don't have time to debug these traces, and it's like, well, maybe you got these fat right angle traces for dip packages and everything. It's like, oh, okay, well, strike one. We can't go too fast, or else we will fail in production. Yeah, well, yeah, I love
the screenshots of the software. It's all very vector-like. You know, there's no solid renderings of solid colors and shapes and things like that. Let alone a 3D image of the board or something like that.
It looks like old AutoCAD, right? That's kind of like the look, the black background.
Yeah,
I imagine it must have been really tough. That's all I can really think about it. It's like,
well, it was. I come from the days of Altium / Protel back when it was called Protel for DOS 1.6.
Oh wow!
This was back in the late 80s. I was using that in the late 80s. I was using Protel for DOS 1.6 when Altium first started.
Yep.
Those were the days.
And then all the CAD people get really accustomed to the command line stuff, right? And then they keep pulling that forward through all the generations.
Even today, the Altium tool today still uses the same keyboard shortcuts as it did back in the late 80s.
They all do. I mean, it's the same people doing it, right? I mean, you got 30-year-old board veterans who are like, if you get rid of this, I'll never buy your program again. And it's a dwindling number that are buying the program, so it's, of course.
Windows, right? Everyone knows Control-C, Control-V to copy, paste, and cut. Control-X to cut. Where did that come from? That was old WordStar.
WordStar? I didn't know that.
WordStar command sets, way back. I'm sure it was. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm reasonably certain that they were the old WordStar, word processor that even predates DOS. WordStar, I think, started on CP/M-based systems, and they were using those keyboard shortcuts, and it was the de facto industry standard.
If there's one rule
even
that I keep,
keyboards would actually come marked on the keyboard with cut, copy, paste. On the keys.
Yeah, like on the lower end as
on the lower part of the keys. Back when we had raised keyboards, and they actually full stroke keyboards.
Oh yeah, the clickety clackety. They still sell those some places. It's like the new typewriter is the clickety clackety keyboard. If there's one rule I have, it's do not start questioning IT stuff in public. It's just like, no, way too many people have way too many opinions about IT stuff.
Right.
And I have far too few clues. It's just I pass.
Oh goodness.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, they will.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Happens every week.
Yep.
All right. More US stuff. What's this about the copyright reform bill?
Oh yeah, well this is kind of a hopeful thing. I don't know if it's actually going to go through, but it's
never does it? There's always
no,
hype
it never
about,
does.
you know,
It never does.
because-
Well, the so like right now, if you crack open a cell phone, and this is kind of gadgety, so it's like but
Right.
if you crack open a cell phone,
secret police will be around with RoboCop in tow and drag you away.
or they'll fine you. But yeah, like it's like a copyright thing right now, just because it's built into the law that way. And technically, I would assume that if they had the resources to do so, if you were unlocking firmware on a scope or something like that, then maybe it would be under the same provision. But
I'm sure it would be. Yeah.
No one goes after that kind of thing right now. It's just
no one gives a shit because it's not consumer.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's Apple or Samsung or something, then it's
that's right.
it's
Yeah, it's a
huge,
big deal.
it's mass market, and there's tons of money in it. And
then
it's
you have
worthwhile.
those companies pressuring the politicians to
Right. Yeah.
lock down on it. So
Right. Yeah.
but let's not go there.
It's just interesting from a free, like it's like a buying hardware thing. We've talked about that in the past, right? It's like if I have a scope, do I have the right to unlock it? And it's like, well, I believe last time we said, yeah, you do. It's yours.
Because you bought it. You paid money for
your
it.
lock.
If they want to hide something in there, that's their risk.
Yeah. I actually started shopping for scopes.
Okay.
Recently.
Tell us about. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about some hardware.
Oh yeah. So for the first
Which
time,
will segue into something.
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
For the first time though, I was like, I was talking to my boss about it, and I don't want to spend too much, like that kind of thing.
Oh, this is for work. This isn't for home.
Yeah, this is for work. Yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about what requirements go into a scope for work.
Yeah,
and how hard it is to extract the money out of your boss. You'll end up buying a Rigol 1052E, right?
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the spectrum. It's like I could go super low end. I don't have tons of needs. It's like I'm doing relatively low frequency analog stuff. That's what I've always done.
But you're spending someone else's money. You're spending the company money, so you want to
right. Well,
get the coolest toy you can.
Maybe, but it's all about the path of least resistance in that case, right? In terms of it's like if you have to get more approvals, if you cross a threshold and you have to get more approvals.
The capex limit. It's
right,
called
exactly.
here. I don't know whether is it called there. It's the capex is capital expenditure, and most big companies will have, if it's over that limit, then it has to go get approved by
it's even just from
CEO or something.
Just from a general perspective, it's like if it's more expensive, it's usually harder to get. I'm sure everyone listening to this understands that kind of thing. You have to make a case for it as it gets more expensive. And so for the first time, looking at high-end scope, not super high-end, but, nice scopes, right? Agilent, Tektronix, like Rody Schwartz and who's the other one? LaCroix, right? Or whatever they're called now. Looking at all those, for the first time, I'm like, oh, because I can buy the low, quote unquote, low end one, right? That's one purchase. And then next year, I need more bandwidth or I need this feature. You buy it one at a time. That is the first time I'm like, hell yeah. It's easier to get it in the door.
Now you can understand why they're doing those upgrades.
And from that perspective, it's actually pretty brilliant. It's just, I don't know if that was always the idea. I'm sure some of it is being able to offer multiple levels of scope with ease, and actually price it to different levels. But from actually getting in the door kind of thing, they should price it at $1, right?
Yeah.
one hertz scope for $1. Get it in the door.
Is free,
Yeah, exactly. You get it in the door, and then it's like, well, if you want to use it, go ahead and buy this $5,000 upgrade.
Yeah.
It's like,
of course, these companies, the Agilents of the world and everyone else, they know that most of their purchases come from big organizations, and they know how those companies work.
Yeah. Right. And you're pricing in support and everything else, right?
And then all of the all of the options will be magically under $1,000 or just under, right? Because they know that that's the average, petty cash limit or the average project budget limit for, exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of thoughts gone into it. Let me tell you.
Tricky. Yeah. So it's I'm looking around. It's like, and like I said, I'm not doing super high end. I have not many needs. I think when I look for scopes, I favor.
Engineers always say this. I'm guilty of it myself, right? Engineers are like, we will try and get by with, like, this is the thing, right? If you're given an unlimited budget, you'll go, oh, I'm not going to buy a $100,000 oscilloscope, right? I can get by with the $1,000 one. And you're just naturally frugal.
Right.
To your own detriment.
Exactly. You are punished for that sometimes. You lose budget when you lose it or use it or lose it, right? I mean, that's how budgets work, and it's stupid. And that's priced into
because
like
it goes
scopes
against
too.
our frugal mentality.
Exactly.
It's ingrained in engineers that I can get by on the $1,000 one. I don't need the $2,000 scope. I can get by,
Of course, yeah. And it's I'll hack it, right? I'll be able to do I'll shift it down in bandwidth or something, And it's like, yeah, you could, but yeah, like you said, it's just kind of a detriment as our optimization, right? I mean, it's just how we think. And I think also, we've talked about before, people making the switch from engineering to like management or, trying to move up in a corporate type of situation or start a company. Like, that's a tough thing.
Which is your dream.
But maybe, yeah. But needing to spend money on people, right? It's like the same kind of thing of, well, I could do it myself. I could hack at a Linux server, or I could hire an IT guy, right? And it's like, of course I should hire an IT guy. But, well, it seems like I could do it. There's tons of tutorials online, right? I mean, like, what is the real value of my time?
So a month later. And,
yeah, exactly.
Oh boy,
it's a sickness, but it's something we all argue with. Now, I would be interested to know if there's any spendthrift, they just love throwing money around kind of people out there, because I engineers wise, like if it's like burning a hole in your corporate pocket kind of thing. I haven't met anyone like that yet. Maybe like really experienced engineers who have been burned by not using it and then being like, well, I need it now, and they're like saying no. But other than that, I've never met anyone like that. So,
right.
Yep.
No, I always err on the side of frugalness.
Yeah. Ugh, it's a sickness. Or you just have people send you scopes, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting 2 more now.
Oh, nice. I'll look forward to that. So what is this you were talking about with you had something about alternate triggering on scopes now that we're talking about scopes?
The segue in. Should we mention our sponsor first? We're halfway through the show.
Are we really halfway through it? We haven't talked about anything yet.
We're halfway through. I know, we've been 30 minutes, dude.
Yes, we should mention our sponsor this week. It is Club Jameco. Once again, they're back. They have not gotten sick of us yet. And they're expanding too. So Club Jameco was the site where you could submit your idea, you could submit your project, and then they'll if the
do everything.
They'll do it. Well, once if it's voted up by the community, then they'll you work with the manufacturing engineers and they'll work on a kit with you. So that's been happening since they last advertised with us, and they have a bunch of new kits, some of which we'll be talking about. But it's an expanding program. It seems pretty cool.
And the kit of the week.
Yes, kit of the week. Pretty cool. I've seen
kit of the week isn't. Yeah, they're everywhere. I've
only seen them once before, but
everyone
in
seems
person.
to make them themselves, but I've never seen them as an actual kit for sale.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Right.
So this is it's an 8x8 lead cube.
Yes, in blue.
Jameco
blue. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I didn't think about that. Right, yeah. Jameco blue. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so really nice build log actually. This and that's a really nice thing. I mean, there's the convenience of it being a kit, but the log is actually really, really well done. Multi-step
it's got
process.
step-by-step photos and because it is a complicated thing to build. Yeah. I mean, I've heard people spending 6 months building their 8x8x8 lead cube.
Really,
like it's a
and
it's
then
not
the programming
a trivial
of it
thing to do.
Is really interesting too. I mean, just like seeing the visualization is obviously the ultimate end goal, but it's really it's really cool. I like it a lot. I mean, I don't know. I'm not throwing many raves in my house, but if I did, I would definitely have an LED cube.
Right.
It'd be good for like parties and stuff like that, right? It's like
exactly.
I think it's more for the build. That's the important thing. So
right.
And also a new thing since the last time Club Jameco sponsored us, if you do submit an approved project brief, so mostly just like making sure it's legit. You're not just sending in blank sheets of paper, but actually like an actual project brief. If you submit one, they'll send you a 10% off code for anything at Jameco. So that's a nice offer they have going for us. And we'll link to them, and it'll also be clubjameco.com/theamphour, as it was last time.
Cool.
So check it out. It's good stuff. Glad to have them back.
Alternate trigger on
alternate trigger. I'm trying to
trigger.
Alt trigger. Go ahead.
You what?
I don't know if I've
you're
ever
trying to
used
think the last time you ever used it? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And herein lies the question.
Right.
It's been talked about on the forum, the EV blog forum, a few times, and it varies from. I think Mike's chimed in on it, and he said, "Oh no, I'd never bloody use it," and guys like you can't think of the last time you used it. I probably can't think of the last time I've used it, and there's other people saying, "Oh no, the new Agilent scope is absolutely worthless because it doesn't have alternate trigger."
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah, those kind of things. It's like
it's
workflow sometimes though too, right? I've had that before where it's like an FPGA tool I was using once. I was like, "There's no way to do this. There's no way to do it," and it's like, no, well, you just have to back up and start from a different path. It's just like they just change the entire architecture of something, and you just do it a different way now. That's usually what it comes down to in those cases. I think. So.
I think I'm going to have to do a video on this today. I think I might do a quick video because alternate trigger, it's one of those, lesser known things. Anyway, if you don't know what it is, basically an oscilloscope, as you know, has usually, you can trigger off one channel. You can choose channel 1, channel 2, or external, or line, or TV sync, or whatever type of triggering you want. But it's one trigger. And then if you've got, almost every oscilloscope is dual channel or 4-channel scope, right? So then all of your signals on each one of those 2 or 4 inputs have to sync up to that trigger. You've only got the one trigger point. Yeah. So that means if you've got two, let's say you've got a 2-channel scope, you're feeding into one frequency, one signal at 1 megahertz, and you're feeding the other one at 900 kilo, or 1 megahertz and 1 hertz, so 1.001 hertz, right? Then I've shown this in a video. Then you'll end up with one. You'll end up with one waveform perfectly stable and triggered, right? And then the other one just drifting on your screen. And if it's 1 hertz out in frequency, you'll see it travel at 1 hertz rate across your screen.
It's basically unusable if you want to catch anything. I think.
It's a fantastically useful feature if you're looking at clock drift and stuff like that, right? I've done videos on this, right? And that's actually a useful feature. You don't want to use alternate trigger, but what alternate trigger does is allows you to get a stable trace on channel 1 and channel 2, regardless of whether or not the signals are in sync.
Yeah.
And,
which is nice unless you get tricked by it, right?
Unless you get tricked by it. Oh, look, they're both the same. They're both synchronized, Yeah, it can actually be a trap for young players.
Yeah. Yeah, and
so, the question... What?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Nope.
Go ahead.
No. After you. I obviously know nothing about this, so.
And so the question remains, why don't modern scopes have this? And that's the question on the forum. Most modern scopes, the DS, by the way, the bottom of the range DS1052E, right, the $300 scope, it's got this alternate trigger. But you go by almost any high-end or higher end scope, even the Rigol 2000 doesn't have it, right? My Agilents don't have it. Most scopes do not have it, and a lot of older analog scopes don't have it either. So don't think it's just a digital scope phenomenon, for example. Yeah. But the question is why.
Well, unfortunately, our former guest and friend Alan Wolke was right on the ball, so we actually have an answer. I don't know if you saw it.
Excellent. No,
basically, he says because you can do single shot on a DSO, so you can actually analyze. You can. Right, so that's the idea, basically.
But no, that is the workaround. That's not the reason. That's the workaround. That's what everyone does. Yeah, a deep memory scope. It doesn't matter a rat's ass. Just press stop. Just press the stop button. You've captured it, and boom, you've got the 2 waveforms, right?
So what's the application?
That doesn't answer the question.
What's the application when you need it? When you couldn't do that? So you can.
Well, the application is you want to view both stable waveforms. You've got 2 signals you want to do it. If you don't have a scope with alternate trigger, then you've got to use 2 different scopes.
Oh, so you're saying like over time you want to watch them against each other. So if you like were looking for like a spike,
you want to watch it live.
Right, you want to see if there was a spike on channel 2, but it was traveling across, so you couldn't catch it. Okay, I see. Yep. Well, Alan said he did post a video on this kind of thing. I haven't watched it yet because I just saw this comment.
I haven't watched it either.
But we'll post Alan's video about it, so it'll be a mystery until then. But yeah, that is a good point. I mean, it's always those catch things, like those little, like runt signals and all those other weird, one-off kind of things that are hard to trigger on. That's the crappy stuff. That's when you really get screwed.
Anyway, I think I know the answer why they don't have it is because it's complicated architecture. You've got to have entirely separate. Yeah. Here we go. Yes, I happen to have the answer off the top of my head because it's pretty obvious, right? Because if you've got a 4-channel scope and you have alternate trigger and you want stable waveforms on all 4 channels, you've got to have 4 trigger systems, right?
Yeah, but triggers are done in software these days, aren't they? Aren't they done in software?
No, you've got to have separate hardware system, a hardware trigger systems.
I mean,
for each
in analog, you definitely need separate hardware, but
there's still, you open up any modern scope and there's a whole section of circuitry devoted to trigger.
Huh.
Okay,
yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yep.
I don't open scopes that often, unlike some people here.
Yeah, right. And then you get into the point where most scopes will only have a single horizontal time base. Right?
Yeah.
They've only got the one horizontal time base button. You can't display a one frequency on channel 1 at 1 hertz and a 1 megahertz signal on channel 2, for example. Yeah. So there's yet another requirement on top of this alternate trigger. You'd have to have multiple sample memories, and a lot of the time in modern scopes, the sample memory is shared and all that sort of stuff. So they don't have dual time bases and all that sort of stuff. So. There's very, very few scopes on the market. I think one of the Instec models, one of the older, or relatively older Instec models, has all that. Now, it has this capability, not only alternate trigger, but different horizontal rates for each channel. You can set your horizontal.
I think we're quickly running into Pareto principle right here, though. It's like, how, or even more than that, it's like how many people need this and how often, right?
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
And that's why modern scopes don't have it, because it's likely a trade-off between the complexity of the design of the scope and the need for people to actually do that. Yeah. Because traditionally, if you want to view 2 entirely separate signals, you just use 2 scopes.
Yeah.
Right? If you're monitoring live 2 entirely separate, they've each got their own separate trigger, they've each got their own separate horizontal, well, you use 2 different scopes.
Right, and if you need to, you can feed a trigger to each one, right? I mean, you could sync them up in some way, but you don't need to, right?
No, the whole idea of this is that they're not synced. These waveforms...
you could send a pulse input, though, as a trigger, right? I mean, you could send something external to it.
Well, you could, but the whole idea is that these 2 waveforms aren't synchronizable in any way, either internal or external. So that's where the problem comes from. The problem is you've got 2 entirely different signals that aren't related in any way. There's no way you can synchronize them with an external pulse. There's nothing you can do, and you want to view them independently. Well, 2 different scopes. Thank you very much. So I think that's why, ones, because there's well, yeah, exactly. Buy 2 cheap scopes or something, but. That's the complexity, because modern scopes are so fast. They have to have really fast update rates and waveform capture speed and all that sort of stuff. The complexity matters, and if you've got to design your scope to cater for different time base and different triggers for each one of your inputs, either 2 or 4 channels, wow. Yeah. The complexity of the design of your scope's just gone through the roof. So I think that's what the scope companies have done. They've gone, well, it's such a niche need that... we're not going to include it in the design of our ASIC chip. If you want to do it, buy a second scope.
You'll really pay for it, yeah.
Buy a second scope. Here you go. Yeah. We'll sell you another one. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
We'll give you 20% off, too.
So there you go. But if anyone has any further thoughts on this, please leave it in the comments.
I'm sure we'll have some. I think
that's the reason why you don't see it in modern scopes, is because it's a compromise in the design.
Yep.
There we go. We do talk tech sometimes on the Amp Hour.
Well, let's continue to, because there's an interesting thing. So we need to preface this with the disclaimer. This is one of Dave's advertisers, but it is a new company too.
They are a new advertiser. They've just started like last week or something.
But regardless, I wanted to talk about this more than Dave did, so I think it's still interesting because it's actually tied to the story after that. So, but anyways, the tool is called PCB Web, and yes,
it's exactly what you think, folks.
we'll get there.
And we've talked about these before. Online,
oh, yeah.
It's a browser-based PCB tool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's done by the people
you're excited, Chris. Go.
Yeah, it's done by the people that do EE-Web. That's the other thing, the Aspen Labs or whatever it is. I think they were bought by EE-Web or something.
They've been a long-time advertiser on my site.
Gotcha.
But we talked about them before, that they actually do a really good website. It's one of the few electronics sort of catch-all websites that I actually think is done quite well.
Yeah. And so,
we've talked about them.
I mean, it's kind of weird, right? I mean, this is kind of treading into new territory for us because we usually don't talk about like your advertisers, and when we advertise on this show, it's like we try and keep it separate. But at the same time, this is really interesting though because they are the first CAD program I've seen, even not just an online CAD program, where they have the DigiKey catalog built into the tool, and regardless of everything else,
schematic and footprint, and it looks like it's integrated really well. I'm curious to know, have you actually tried to get like an obscure footprint out of it?
No, I've done very high level stuff, but
right, okay,
I have tried it. It's
I have to say that Chris has tried this tool. I haven't tried it yet, but I have watched a demo video that the guys did for me. And it does look. I watched the video and I went, these guys look like they've done this right.
Right.
You know.
And it is.
You would agree. That was your sentiment as well. Well,
I'll get to that, but I want to talk about so this is the first one that has a distributor built into it, right? And I haven't seen that anywhere else yet. And obviously DigiKey was one of the biggest ones online.
Altium have the distributors built in. Yeah.
Oh, they do? Okay, I've never seen that.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not sure of the current state of it. I'm not sure if it's every part. I don't use the latest version of Altium.
Okay, so
it's been 2 years since I worked there, you know.
Yeah, footprint and schematic symbol?
Yes, they do. They were doing that, but it wasn't comprehensive last I looked. But I could be wrong now. So,
yeah.
But no, it certainly doesn't look near. The Altium one last I played with it was not nearly as easy to use as this one looks. You know?
Right.
It's like you've got the DigiKey parametric search built right in there, with all the drop down boxes and
right.
And it's great. Or you can just type in the DigiKey part number and
and so actually just clicking through now for like I was thinking about connectors and some of the connectors are weird, right? So I just clicked a connector, and it actually didn't have the footprint for that, so it's not completely comprehensive.
There you go. Right.
But if it is, I don't know anything about this whole thing, but if it starts building out where DigiKey starts offering that as a back-end service kind of thing,
I think it's a given that they ultimately
you think it's
will.
A when?
I expect every CAD tool in 5 years' time will have complete DigiKey integration. If DigiKey aren't
if DigiKey,
on getting
Mauser,
a footprint,
Farnell,
and Mouser and everyone else and Element 14 aren't working on creating a footprint for every single library part.
At least a default,
in
right?
There,
yeah,
at least a default or something like that. Then they're crazy because that is the killer app.
It is.
You know.
Right, and that's what I like about here. So obviously, I went really. I guess I should have started a little bit more realistic. I started with an LM324. It's like, of course they have a footprint for that, and it ended up being a div part. Of course, it was just like the first one I typed in.
Exactly.
But so that alone is really really cool. I really like that a lot. I talked to Andrew Seddon from Circuit Hub. That's kind of a similar kind of thing where it's a Dropbox. You can pull the footprint from there. So, that could be eventually like, a distributor buys them or something like that, and then they pull all that stuff in. I don't care how it's done. I really, really like this functionality, though. And I use older tools, and, as I complained to Andrew, Circuit Hub doesn't have KiCad stuff yet, but, like it's... So you're not, the getting 100% coverage is really, really tough, but... I really, really, really like this app a lot in whatever form it takes. So that alone is number one. I think that's really cool, and I think a lot of people will out there too. Number two, though, like Dave said, is the CAD program in the browser is pretty nice. I mean, it's not like it's still in a browser, right? That's strike one is it's in a browser. And I don't know the future plans if they're going to break it out of the browser or something like that. I don't know anything about the plans with that stuff.
It's possible. Yeah, it's part of the technology they've used. It is possible that they could potentially offer a standalone version.
Yeah,
I believe anyway. So, but
okay, so that'd be good.
But it is browser based.
Yeah. But again, the tough part with all this kind of stuff and these like quasi closed ecosystems, it's like, well, it's good. I need to know there's some chance that I'll be able to extract data at some point. Like, actually, I found out that Google actually lets you pull out all. I mean, this is old. I mean, I know that this actually happened for a while, but Google lets you pull out like all old YouTube videos and everything too. Like, you can pull out all of your data of Google now, and like data portability, I think is probably going to be a bigger deal in the future too, as everything goes to cloud apps, but. It's tough, right? I mean, because I understand the businesses want to have, profitable enterprises. Lock you in, right? Yeah. It's like I do the same thing, but at the same time, I don't want to deal with. I don't know. That's why I like KiCad. I mean, I don't even have to pay a license fee, right? I mean, I just
right.
It's just a evolving project that like I don't know.
You want the best of both worlds. You want this really easy to use killer.
Yeah, for free.
Component integration, you want it all for free and you want it completely open.
Yes, right. Yeah, it's asking for too much for right now, but it's moving toward, it's making progress. So, but first impressions, I hate to say it, but it is a nice tool. It is. I don't hate to say it. It is a nice tool.
You were saying before the show, it is by far the best.
Yeah.
Web-based CAD tool you've tried.
And I haven't used them exhaustively. I've used Upverter. Upverter I liked a lot.
Yeah.
Circuits.io I've used a little bit. That's not bad either. I mean, like everyone's got really good programmers working on this stuff. The nice thing is, which I think we've mentioned in the past, is you're not carrying forward all this legacy stuff, right? I mean, you don't have, you don't have type command line stuff that you have to build in, right? That's the benefit of it for, in terms of lightweightness, right? Like Cadence and Altium, they're all carrying.
Oh yeah, they've got a lot. Yeah, there's like a million lines of code in Altium or something.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Right. So that's tough. I mean, I don't envy that position. Working with like legacy stuff is tough like that. But it's but there's downsides to the newer folks as well, because then you don't have the experience. So it's I don't know. You just got to pick one and go with it, really.
You're excited. I really, I watched the demo and I went, they've done this right. I really need to try this. But yeah, as you say, I mean, it's a web-based tool. So either you accept the limitations of that and potentially being locked in, or you don't. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah,
but
right. So good start.
Anyway, the functionality is cool.
People should check it out. Good. It's interesting. I mean, so
we'll post a link down there.
Yeah. So interestingly, the other story though was about another browser-based tool, right? So I don't think we've said anything. I think today might be the first time positive we said anything about browser-based tools, right? Because like Tinkercad, right? That closed down.
We didn't say anything positive. Well, we're not saying something positive about browser-based tools. We're saying something positive about the app itself.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's not like we're switching over to all browser-based tools right now, right? I mean, I'm not getting off my desktop yet. It's like maybe someday, but not yet. And I get all the arguments for it too, right? People say, "Oh, well, it's instantly upgraded software
available everywhere." I get that.
Yeah,
see, I've moved over to that with like Google Mail and Docs. Like I do all my everything's a Google Doc and stuff like that. Well, not quite actually, but I'm sort of half cloudy at the moment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that I'm in a similar boat with that kind of thing. But it's not that kind of email stuff that I care about. It's the it's the legacy thing, right? It's like if I have an old design, right? We talked about DASIX before and how I had to deal with that. if I have an old design, it's not necessarily like that the program updates, or not even necessarily that the company could disappear overnight, because that's also a possibility, like with with Tinkercad. Like it's just they
just went bust, right?
There's just those two options, but it's actually that everything's working perfectly, but that when I pull up a file 6 months later after there's been 3 revisions, right? I had left something dormant. They say, oh, there's compatibility issues.
Yeah,
that's the worst because you don't know about it. You're not going to go and check every file once there's a background software push, and you're not going to know about it until you actually open that file up, right? It's just the nature of hardware. Yeah. You can't pay attention to all your projects at once. So,
and does this thing actually need the internet to run, or can you download it and actually run it locally in your browser? Because if you could do that, technically, then it's not a cloud tool, right? Because you can keep a copy of that existing browser, you can keep a copy of the downloaded file and run it locally. This could be a key question here.
That is an interesting question.
Because then it almost essentially is a desktop app then. It just happens to be running in a browser. But if it doesn't, the key point, does it need access to the internet live while you're laying out that board or not?
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting because there's stuff like that too. Like you mentioned Gmail for, like a cloud-based app, but there's offline mode for Gmail now too, where, it caches like the actual install with all the JavaScript or whatever the hell it runs on.
Right.
So you could maybe do the same kind of thing, but then I'm not sure about security. Sometimes people worry about security and stuff like that too. So I don't know how that works. But anyway, in terms of code, there's another tool out there. We've talked previously about. I think TI had like a cloud-based compiler or something like that for like CC2000 boards, or C2000 rather. One of their microcontrollers, and we kind of scoffed at it. It's like, well, why do you need that kind of thing? And I've seen a couple others here and there too. It's like, and you don't, right? I mean, like, there's no, unless you're doing supermassive compiles, right? And if you're doing a microcontroller, it's not going to be a supermassive compile. So, okay, cool trick. And so I was in the midst of writing a similarly snarky comment today. I was reading about the ThingSquare, which is a cloud-based. It's like a Internet of Things kind of bingo. No, but it's like a mesh network kind of thing, right? So it's like you buy a piece of hardware, you talk to it, and then basically you can create little nodes all over the place, and then they mesh together. So I was writing that similar snarky comment, and then I'm like, well, wait a second. You're already buying the hardware from them or the stack or whatever. If you're already in an ecosystem like that, that's when I think it finally makes sense.
Right.
I think. Because at that point, I mean, so the thing they talk about in this article is, okay, so we're this mesh network. You can run your code in the cloud, right? And then you compile it, and then it pushes it to all the devices. That's cool by itself, but not necessary, right? You could just as easily compile it on a computer, push it to an IP address, and it goes out, right?
Yep.
But the interesting thing is that it's just a convenience thing at that point, right? It's like, okay, I'm got connected devices, I might as well do it in the cloud,
Right.
At that point, it actually becomes worthwhile, I think. So the ThingSquare Mist is that's what their mesh network's called, but yeah, I know.
It's just it really is, a niche need. It's not going to be all things for all people. Like, it's just,
Yeah, I don't know many software developers running on netbooks,
No, this comes back to the whole Altium thing. They bet the future of the company on the Internet of Things, and every device on the planet, everything, every electronics designer is ever going to design is going to be cloud, Internet of Things enabled. It's just bullshit.
Yeah, well,
right?
Yeah, it's gonna be if it is gonna happen, it's gonna be way slow. I think still, I haven't seen any accelerating factors yet, but it's.
Yeah, there's a need for stuff like this, but it's not, it's niche. Yeah. And it probably always will be.
And the downside of having, net-connected type of stuff like this with, like, automatic firmware pushes is like in iRobot when they all get updated with, like, the malicious firmware and then they start attacking humans. So that's a thing, right? You never know.
What happened to the 3 laws?
They overrode him. You didn't see iRobot?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dear. Nah, bloody Internet of Things. Jesus.
Yeah, there's another one, too. There's so when Ryan Brown was on I think you weren't here that week when Ryan Brown was on the show.
No, I don't think I was.
Yeah, it's another... some of the people he knows down in Austin, they're kicking off another similar kind of connected device thing. So
devices, yeah.
Yeah, so Sapphire OS. And, it's interesting. It's another software layer, basically. A lot of them are using that same chipset. It looks like a lot of people are using the CC254X series.
Yep.
Which I've got the kit for. It looks nice. I think we mentioned that last night, right? Or last time, rather.
Yep. Hang on. I think I can see... Yeah, there it goes past the office window here, the bandwagon. There it goes. Yep.
Nah, come on. People are interested in it. There is a lot of benefit to it, but the killer, the killer thing with Internet of Things and everything else, yeah, of course people want, connected stuff, but people don't want to pay for it, They don't want to, yeah, I want to
And they don't want the shit battery life when you get something that's Wi-Fi enabled,
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, and that's the thing,
Right.
they're all moving to non, because there's a bunch of different wireless standards. Wi-Fi is probably out of the question. Like we talked about last week, Bluetooth Low Energy is low bandwidth. Bluetooth is relatively high bandwidth if it has to be connected all the time. What else is there? Like
No.
Polaris?
Oh, there's a couple of others.
Yeah, there's a couple Zigbee stuff, right?
There's a few proprietary solutions as well, and
yeah,
blah.
I know. 2 things you don't like: Internet of Things and RF.
I didn't say I don't like RF. I just don't do RF.
Right. Sure.
Big difference, dude.
Yeah. It is. It feels a little bandwagony right now, but it doesn't feel like there's, we're at the fragmentation stage. It feels like, right? There's lots of solutions. There is differentiation between them, but if you're a product designer trying to design it in, then like, how do you decide? It's like, I want my stuff to talk to other stuff, but if I can't, if I have to buy the same thing everybody else does, well, I better just wait. There's always that waiting period, the wait and see who else is doing what. So, yeah. The good thing about both of these, so Sapphire and I believe both, and I think also the ThingSquare, they're both open source. So, kudos on that.
Well, yeah,
that's cool.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. What I want to see is like a strategic merger, right? Like smash your IP together, like that'd be cool, right? You don't really see that because there's a lot of little projects and people kind of doing that kind of thing. But making your little project into a bigger project and collaborating across, distances and stuff, that's a tough thing to do, especially when you kind of got your eye on the prize, right? Maybe you want to get investment, like that kind of thing. It's hard to do that kind of thing, but it could be worthwhile. So think about it, guys. Some guy on a podcast said so.
Right. Can we get back to some real hardware?
Sure. What do you got?
Real PCB shit. There's some PCB artwork. You put this on. What is the most amazing PCB artwork you've seen?
Oh, yeah.
And there's some photos of some nice homemade artistic, or artwork shaped in all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
I've kind of done stuff like that, but I'm not arty enough to actually pull it off,
Yeah.
Because there's many different techniques you can use with PCB manufacturing to get lots of different colours and textures and layers and transparent, leaving off solder mask and all sorts of things. You can get some really clever effects if you're smart enough, just using the standard PCB manufacturing technique.
Yeah.
So
right. Yeah, it just comes down to where you cut out the Gerber, right? I mean, just leave a layer off and put a partial.
Just have to be clever. Yeah, you can do lots of really clever things. You can do really colourful front panels and really artistic things with just basic PCB manufacturing, which I really like.
Yeah. Well, I found this link from because Lane from OSH Park is future guest of the Amp Hour, by the way, in I think 3 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. So get your purple PCB questions in later.
Right.
He was asking about mechanical examples because he's given a talk at I think at Maker Faire about mechanical stuff, right? And I think someone mentioned, like how you use the mechanical aspect of the PCB as part of the case for the microcurrent, and I know Evil Mad Scientist Labs, they use PCB material for their eggbot. So just cool examples like that, and then someone posted this example. It's just there's a lot of cool stuff out there that I never really think about it as art, right? Or even as mechanical element,
exactly. Yep.
Kind of reimagine it.
I'm more into using the PCB as the mechanical element rather than artistic sake, because I'm not an artist, I can't design some fancy whiz-bang shapes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just not that way
Square
inclined.
Box.
Yeah.
Square box made out of PCBs.
I've done the occasional curved corner, I mean, I'm getting fancy. Woohoo.
Yeah. A milling machine did that.
I'm into novel manufacturing techniques like that. Like if you look at my micro watch, if you look at my micro calc, which is like a PCB sandwich done as a touch front panel, there's no case at all. It's just entire PCB and all that sort of stuff, and it's got cutouts for the batteries and things like that. So I'm more into that side of things. And because the great thing about using PCBs is because there's a cheap established manufacturing industry out there for manufacturing your boards.
Yeah, it's commoditized.
So the limit is your imagination. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it's your imagination, what you can do with those Gerber layers, those Gerber files. And then, you can get those manufactured and, you can build a product entirely with PCB and build it up in layers. You could have 20 layers, 20 different boards, and boom, you can build up your box. And
Leaning tower of PC Bees.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I've been to Pisa.
Oh, yeah?
Nice, very nice little town. Liked it. Yeah, I've got the obligatory photo of me trying to hold up the the tower.
Yes,
yeah. Right.
So original. You got to do it, right? That's the downside.
Right,
it's like, okay.
Yeah. And there's 100 other people there trying to get the same shot.
Exactly.
So you're trying to do it without getting anyone else in the background of you holding up the.
Well, if you were going to make your own PCB, you can actually, you could mill your own PCBs at home. And that was another link that we had this week. Because there's a Kickstarter campaign actually for a not custom built, a specific build, I guess. It's only meant to be a PCB mill, and it's called the Other Mill.
No, I thought it was This is the one from the Hacker Lab.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Other fab,
No, it can do other stuff too.
Okay,
but primarily.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I know, yes, it can do other things, but I mean, like 2 inches, you can do 2 inches in the Z-axis. It's like, yes, you can engrave stuff. It's like, and that's actually, so, I went through a lot of this research for the mill I got, and one of the really expensive ones actually is the Roland, which is part of the Roland TG15 or something like that, and they're really expensive. They're polished, they're really nice, they're well supported, and they're part of the Fab Lab. So like the standard Fab Lab kit has a Roland cutter, it's got a ShopBot, a laser laser cutter, everything. So it's well supported like that, but like $5,000 for you get like 2 vertical inches. Oh, terrible. Maybe it's more with that.
The problem I have with it, it's a nice little Kickstarter project, but the build area is too small.
It's like 4 by 5
board area
inches.
It's like, if that, it's tiny. So, no, I wanted, double that.
Well, and so there was actually some really good conversation on this in the Amp Hour subreddit. People were asking about this kind of thing, and it's like, like there is a very well defined curve of if you want to pay for. It's not features necessarily as much as size, right? There's rigidity in the actual axis and stuff. And I went through all this stuff, and actually the I can put the link in for what eventually got me to the mill that I got. It's just you have to do a lot of research on that kind of thing. But it's a trade off, and the price point on this thing isn't too bad, and it'll be.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I would probably be tempted to get one if it had a larger build area.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
right. Yeah, I think there's a good market out there for a really polished, low-cost PCB milling machine.
Yeah, and that is another big benefit of this too, right? It's finished, right? I mean, like I had to put my mill together, I had to tram it, I had to actually align it and everything. Like, if you don't want to do that stuff, then and you think you can get by with 4x5 PCBs and you have a need for fast stuff, then yeah, go for it, But it's
of course, yeah.
If you need to get past
and
limitations,
the other thing's the
but
software as
stuff.
well. The software is the other. How good is the software? That drives this thing. That is the other thing. There's no point having great hardware if the software just sucks ass.
Yeah. So they talked about, there's a lot of components of a milling machine, actually. There's a lot of different layers normally. I'm actually not sure about... Oh, so they're using other cam. Like in most of this kind of stuff, you need like a CAD file, you need a cam file, which actually tells the cutter where to move, like left and right, up and down. And then finally you need a translation program that takes that G-code and then moves it to a stepper motor, like 4 steps this way, 5 steps that way, that kind of thing. And those are actually pulses.
See, the people using this shouldn't have to give a rat's ass about that. They take their
Gerber
file, they put it in, and your board comes out.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what I want. I don't want to dick around. I got better things to do with my time than dick around trying to get this stupid machine working.
I think then this would be the kind of thing for you, right? And even I had used a specific built similar board cutter before, where it was just a board cutter, nothing else. It wasn't meant to mill anything else, and even that still it's just it's tough, and there's still adjustment, right? I mean, you still have to adjust the so for milling boards, you don't necessarily use an end mill with like a flat end mill where it's like where you would use like on metal normally. Usually you use a V-shaped, basically a carver, so you actually have to set that depth then too, because then if you're using copper clad FR4, if you set it too deep, you end up cutting your traces, or your traces end up being too narrow, and so that's kind of a fine artwork kind of thing too, right? You have to learn that, mess it up a couple times, but I don't want to do that. I want it to know. Yeah. I want it to take care of everything. I want it to be intelligent and just produce my bloody Gerber file, Oh, well, then what you should do is send it out to a cheap board fab and wait 3 weeks. Or
exactly. Yeah.
Or copper. I mean, honestly, copper etching is still, like, in terms of accuracy, I think, if you have a good process for copper etching, you're still going to win, I think.
I've done like 6.6 at home. Yeah. You can get down to,
right, and it's tough to get 6.6 for mechanical, because you start to get force. You get that rotational force on like a 6 mil trace, like or 6 mil space too. Right?
Oh no, and it tears it straight off. Yeah. No,
and then
it's tough.
Then when you're drilling vias too, right? I mean, that's another tough thing. I think they showed drilling second, or no, maybe it was someone else showing drilling second on vias. You can't do that. That's bad. You'll rip that trace right off. So. And then there's the other thing too, with like if you're doing a cut board at home, right, or even if you're doing an etch board, you still have to connect the vias yourself. That's always going to be the problem. Like I think I was talking to Jeff Kaiser about the what's it called, LPKF. That's the laser based one. Those are high end, right? But they have
they're high end. You pay
formats
10,
for that kind of thing.
For those. Yep.
And I mean it's nice, right? But again, it's about what do you have a need for, and how much time you're willing to spend if you don't want to pay for that need, right?
Yeah.
It's like I still haven't actually used my mill. I've only been doing metal and wood, so I haven't tried it for PCBs yet, but I should be able to eventually when I get to it.
No. Like I love getting back the real board. That's like
no
that's
better
why
feeling.
I've never there's no, like, you get the real board with the real solder mask, the real plate through, everything. You
get the funny silk screens that you put on there. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and you get to see the real finished product, I mean, there's no beating that. And as you said, PCB manufacturing's a commodity these days, and, I mean, there's less and less a market for these rapid prototyping things nowadays.
Right.
I mean, especially at work. Like, we used to spin 8-layer boards in 24 hours.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Easy 10 grand, but who cares, right?
Right. Yeah, you pay a couple of $1,000s. Who cares, right? Yeah. Well, I didn't care. The shareholders cared in the end, but but the engineer, no, I want my 8-layer board tomorrow.
But even that, you shouldn't care either, right? Because the justification should always be that if you're paying for an 8-layer board overnight, it's like you have a need for it, right? I mean, that's just
exactly
that is just the trade-off you have to make. That's the one thing that engineers are normally good at, actually. You know, like how to make that calculation, and once you make it, it's like, no, I need it, so I'm going to pay for it. It doesn't matter at that point. The price tag is just a thing. It's just a number on a page. It's just my boss's credit card. Who cares?
So are we quite bipolar in that way? Like, I'll go out and spend, $3 or $4 grand getting that 8-layer board made overnight, and I can sleep well at night. But then I'll agonize over the scope I just bought and why I bought a $1,000 scope instead of a $2,000 scope.
Right. Well, I think the problem there is just analysis paralysis, right? I mean, like think about how many scopes are available these days, right? There's at least 4 big ones, and then there's the smaller ones, and you could start optimizing for Rigol has features, but there might be less support, that kind of thing, just because it's a overseas company, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, I could do this analysis all day long, right? Or I could pay for support and pay through the nose, that kind of thing. It's like. But if you had to buy a scope the next day, of course, it would just be like, no, I need this. Go, done, fine, whatever. It's
oh, they've got it in stock at my local supplier.
Exactly.
Your decision factors are are different.
Exactly. Yeah. So that. No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Sometimes that comes down to part choice as well. You'll use a non-optimal part. Exactly. That you can get over a better part, which might have a questionable supply, or that you can't get.
Exactly. Engineering brains are all about optimizing. That's just what it is, right? I mean, and so if I could get it faster and I need it, then whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for today's show.
That is it for today's show.
No. We do have a workbench. 2
workbenches actually, but Quick looks.
Hong's Electronics.
Yes.
Where is he? Yes, Hong's Electronics.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hong. Hey, Jeremy. He's a student at Wright State.
Yes.
University, I guess.
I thought he was going to be coming to Cleveland because he has Case on his website, but he linked to something else. So.
Anyway, he's got a cool-looking basement. I assume in its basement. It's all dark and dingy.
Yeah, it looks basement-ish.
Oh, I love it. And it looks like some real stuff happening in there. Awesome.
Yeah. Very nice.
Awesome
part
workbench.
Organization looks like his MO. Yep. Very, very awesome.
And he's got half a square meter to actually move in.
Yeah.
So it's all, it's great.
And a very prominently displayed fire extinguisher. Always a good idea.
Oh yes, got the fire extinguisher there. Fantastic. Yeah. Right there on the bench, right next to the scope. That's where you need it. Right next to the breadboard.
That's the way to do it.
Great stuff. Yeah.
The other one was from Harry MJ, and at least on Twitter or on Reddit rather. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Harry's last name. Harry MJ sounds kind of funny, but this is actually a really cool picture because it's from the Stanford solar car lab, and they've got and so he's got a couple pictures in here of the battery packs and everything, and the bench is actually really nice. They got one of the new Agilent source measure units, which is pretty nice thing. Reflow ovens, welding stuff. I mean, not like huge bench. It's very specific to the electronics needs, but cool stuff. Yeah, B2902. That's a cool source measure.
And actually drive the solar car into the shop,
Yeah, right. And
so there's the solar car right behind the workbench,
Right.
It's great.
And if you scroll down, of course, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you did see that, right?
Oh, there's a DeLorean in there.
Yeah,
great Scott.
That's not theirs, but I guess that's the benefit of being a solar car team is you get to play near awesome cars. So
awesome.
All the I'm sure Stanford labs are pretty well decked out, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks to people for sending that stuff in.
Workbench of the week. Everyone loves Workbench of the week, even though this is a radio show.
Yeah. Well, we always post links, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right.
Well, I will report back next week from Hamvention, and we might have a Maker Faire attendee.
We have a guest.
We might. We're not sure yet. So.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
We'll see, but...
Well, have fun, and make sure you get that group photo with all the Amp Hour t-shirts.
Yes, I will try my best. And I'll be taking lots of videos and hopefully out on the hunt for mullets and such, so... Yeah. I'm excited.
Cool. Have
all
fun.
right, man. Talk to you next week.
See ya.
This episode was sponsored by Club Jameco. Upload your project brief today, and if approved, you'll get a 10% off coupon. If chosen by the community, you'll make 10% off any kit sold without ever needing to buy or bag components. Go to clubjameco.com/theamphour to find more details and to support the show.